What up everyone, welcome to BMG. It's your boy Brown Mamba. Hope you guys are doing good. So this is going to be a very different video from what I normally do. It's not a gaming video, it's actually a how-to video. I've done how-to videos in the past and honestly I've gotten the most views on those ones. Like my how to play Xbox and iPad has like 500,000 views. So I thought this year I'll do a few more. So basically in this video, this fall that just passed, I bought rims, used winter rims for my car. And they were like silver or like gunmetal in color, and I wanted to paint them black. So I thought, you know what, I'll save some money and I'll do it at home myself. So I did YouTube a few things, but nothing really gave me anything that gave me some clear instructions or like the cheapest way to do it and still make it look good. So I did my own research, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make a video and post it myself. I break this video down in a few different steps to kind of make it easier for you guys to follow along, and yeah, the video should help you guys kind of see what I did, and hopefully you guys go mimic it and paint your rims as well. I think the whole thing cost me like maybe 50-60 bucks. Like the most expensive thing was obviously the spray paint. I tried to use a good quality one, but I'm sure it'll work with cheaper kind too. But at the end of the day, if you're gonna only spend 60-70 bucks, might as well get like the better spray paint. The paint that I use is Rust-Oleum. I bought two different kinds. I bought the flat black primer as my first coat. And then I also got the Rust-Oleum Paint Plus Primer, and I use gloss black. So obviously you can use whatever color you want. It doesn't have to be black, or it doesn't have to be gloss either. I wanted the glossy look, so I went with gloss black. There's so many different colors out there you can pick from. This is just like the best quality one I found, at least from what I was looking at the store. I got it from Home Depot. I think it was like maybe 10 or 11 bucks, if that much. Anyways, per can, and I bought like 3 cans of the Paint Plus primer, and then 1 can of just the flat black, and then that was enough to get at least 3-4 coats on my rims. So the first step and the most obvious one is obviously clean your rims. Clean the insides, clean the outsides, clean the whole thing, even clean the rubber too. Plus, because now the tire's actually off the car, it's just clean everything, just get the inside and everything done with. You could use soap, you could use any sort of like any sort of like chemical that will clean the rim nicely. I used some gunk remover thing I had laying around. You don't have to go really fancy with it. Use a pressure washer, use some soap, spray some like rim cleaner if you have it, and just make sure you scrub everything and just try to make it as clean as possible. Because then the cleaner the rim, obviously the paint will stick better. Step 2, what I did was that I got sandpaper. It wasn't like, it was around 200-300 grit, so it wasn't that fine, but it wasn't that rough either. The reason I didn't want to go too crazy and make it too rough was because the rim was actually really good condition, so I didn't need to like fix any scratches or anything like that. I just wanted to get use a little bit of sandpaper just so the paint will stick a little bit better. But other than that, I soaked the sandpaper in water, and the reason I did that is so when you're actually sanding the rims, the wet paper will carry the grit away. The grit particles will be removed, so it doesn't like kind of stay in one spot. So when you go over it again, it won't scratch the rim deeper than you want it to go, and then it'll ruin the paint because it won't go uneven. So I used a wet sandpaper, and that kind of helped it do an even coat, and the grit was removed with the water and stuff. The next step number 3, it's once again clean the rims again. Now, just because you sanded it now, make sure you clean it, wipe it down. You don't have to use soap this time. Just wet it, soak it, use a pressure washer. Make sure all the grit particles are off now, and then wipe it down and make sure it's dry now, like dry the rim. The next step 4, it's a pretty simple step now. You can either go buy cue cards or do what I did the cheap way. I went to Home Depot and I took a whole bunch of paint samples, those sample cards, and I put that between the rim and the rubber. So when I am spray painting the rim, it doesn't get on the rubber, because you don't want the paint on the rubber. You just want to keep it on the rim, and at least with this way, with the cue cards or paint sample cards, whatever you use, it stays on the rim. And honestly, instead of taping, this is 10 times easier, because with tape, it just takes forever to kind of like put it on, and it's a mission to take it off. And with these cards, you just slide it in and you slide it back out. Step number 5 is basically start painting now with the primer first. So in my case, I use a flat black primer, and yeah, start spray painting the rims. So basically start on the inside of the rims and then work your way up. So yeah, as you can see, we were painting the sides, then we started painting the front of it. Try to make it as an even coat as possible. There is room to kind of mess up a little bit here just to kind of get the hang of it, so it's okay if you don't do it like the best and the most smoothest way. It is the first coat and it's the primer, so there is some room for forgiveness, so just do your best, but try to keep it as even as possible and start from the sides, like the inside of the rim, and work your way out, just so like, you know, the imperfections will be covered that way. And the last step, step 6, is basically use the actual paint that you want, like the gloss black in my case. So I used the primer plus paint gloss black. That's the one that I use. And I just started painting the rims the same way I did the primer. I would start with the sides, then work my way up. After you do one coat, let it dry. Don't let it dry too much, but like work on the other rims and go back to the first one to do your second coat. So I did 3 coats with the actual paint, and it gave you a good thickness, which kind of, I'm hoping, it lasts over the winter, which it did, because now it's summertime, obviously. So it did last me, and I think it's because I had those 3 extra coats. So 4 coats in total almost. So the same thing applies here. Get the sides done. So there's still room for some forgiveness even on the actual paint that you're using, but try to keep the coat balanced as you paint the whole rim, because you don't want it to look too thick on one side and not enough paint on one side. It's not that hard, like as long as you're spraying the same distance away from the rim and you're kind of moving your wrist side to side, it'll be fine. So once you're done painting all this, you do have another option where you could buy like a clear coat spray paint. I didn't do it. I didn't think I needed it because I did 4 coats, and honestly, after 4 months of driving in the winter with like all the snow and the salt, I have no chips, no nothing on the rims. It's still fine. So I didn't really need the clear coat. You guys could do it if you want. It'll be another $10 probably. But I didn't think I need it. But obviously it would help. So once the rims are dried, you can see it came out very well. Like it looks nice, and it looks even better on the car. I think this way, it's the cheapest way to paint your rims instead of getting it powder coated or even paying someone to do it. It cost me $60, I think, and you could do it at home. It doesn't take that long either. You just let it dry and then put them on your rims, and that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I know it wasn't too long, and honestly, even the steps aren't that complicated because this procedure isn't complicated. I think people just kind of overcomplicate things, and I think it's just as long as you have the good paint and you sand the rims and you clean the rims and you put the paint on, you'll be fine. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any other suggestions, or if you think I could have done a different job or a better job on painting my rims, let me know. Leave a comment. Subscribe to my channel. Share it if you like it. And I'll catch you in the next one. Mamba out. Peace!